Hi there, Sarah. Great job writing these new essays today. Can't wait to take a look at them and see what you've done. So let's get right into it. The pie charts show the percentage of council expenditures in different services and activities in Yorkshire, Derbyshire, it's actually a D, and Lancashire, didn't need this, during 2014. Overall, leisure and education are the two activities where the councils invest more in the three different regions. They're not cities. While environmental and social services are those where, you need an H here, the councils spend less money. Okay, educational services in Yorkshire, no city here, present the highest investments, around 20%, followed by leisure and recreative actives, contributing to nearly 15% of the outgoing. Okay, it's a great start. You're correct in focusing on education in Yorkshire, since it's one of the biggest pieces of the pies here. So there are some issues, though, with your word choice and your grammar, so let's try to clean those up. Educational services in Yorkshire, no city, show the highest expenditures at around 20%, followed by leisure and recreational activities. Okay, so those are some word choice problems here. Contributing to nearly 15% of the spending or the budget, you could have said here as well. Similarly, Lancashire spends 20% on both leisure and educational programs, whereas in Derbyshire, no region here, these represent over 40 and 15% of the expenditure, respectively. Careful with your spelling. Social services represent around 10% of the expenses in Yorkshire and Lancashire, sharply declining to under 2% in Derbyshire, whose council spent less for this purpose. So you can see that grammatically there's some mistakes here, and I have suggested how you can fix them. Furthermore, city councils spend, not really invest, okay, that's not exactly the most appropriate word, but furthermore, city councils spend 10% on community care programs in Yorkshire and Lancashire. And here there's a problem. I think he meant Derbyshire here, but this is not grammatically correct. So we need to change it to something like while this is under 2% in Lancashire. In Yorkshire, as well as in Lancashire, the environmental care represents less than 10% of the total council cost. Well, it's not really council cost. It's kind of like saying, well, how much does the council cost? But you could have just said of the budget again, or of the expenses, and that would have been okay. While Derbyshire, again, no invests, but spends slightly more. I'm not sure what you mean here by gently, but while Derbyshire spends 4% more, and you could have just gotten rid of this on this service. Other activities represent 10% of the total expenses in the three regions. Okay, so you're definitely on the right track. You're doing well, but there are some mistakes with your word choice and with your grammar. So definitely make a note of them and add them to your error correction list, and try to kind of adopt the suggestions that I have made so that you can improve the next time you write. So let's move on to your task 2. Traditional schooling is out of date, boring, and stifles a child's natural talents. Various professionals have pushed for an education revolution. Are there alternatives in the education system? Is traditional education doing more harm than good? Let's see what you said. The education at schools has been changing significantly during the last century, being adapted to society development. Okay, I like the first part of this sentence. I would only change the development of society rather than to society development, which isn't really a natural collocation. Okay, so let's just change that. Whether traditional lessons or study from books are old-fashioned, there actually is an ED here. And underestimate, careful with your spelling, there's no E, children to achieve high-grade knowledge has been widely debatable since the last decades. Okay, and under... This is creating some problems. It's just not 100% clear. What does that mean to understimulate children to achieve high grade knowledge? So I would rephrase this. And you can't really say since the last decades. We use since with a moment in time. But last decades is a period of time, so you can't really use this word. So instead, we can say over the last decades or for the last decades would be better than since. This essay will analyze the advantages of alternative education and how it can promote the development of different skills in students, giving examples and providing arguments, I think you meant. Okay, so that's nice. It's very clear, this whole sentence here. So, on the one hand, I firmly believe that recreative, the word is recreational, Sarah, okay? Activities such as music, outdoor activities, and play arts. Do you mean theater arts, perhaps? Maybe you do. Undoubtedly, careful, there's a D here, improve children's, apostrophe S, brain development in an enjoyable and entertaining ing way. It is largely because many of these alternative lessons excite the student's mind, apostrophe S, promoting with a T the development of valuable skills. It is when the mind is overstimulated that natural talents can evolve. Overstimulation is actually considered, Sarah, a bad thing. So I'm not sure this is the mind that you want. The mind. I don't think this is the word that you wanted. I think you just meant stimulated in general. Stimulated creatively. Okay. So it is when the mind is stimulated that natural talents can evolve. And that's a really nice sentence. It's just the word here that's a little wrong. Okay, for instance, a recent study showed that playing an instrument increases the development of interpersonal skills by 35% here, as well as it helps in students, S apostrophe, concentration capacity. Okay, again, this isn't totally an accurate collocation. It would probably be better at with something like it helps in students' ability to concentrate. That's probably a better way to say it. Or students' concentration abilities rather than capacity, which has a different meaning. Therefore, stimulation without the is essential for talent emergence. I like the sentence. I'm not really so sure about this word choice here. I think you're saying stimulation is essential for talent to thrive or for talent to emerge, but this doesn't really create a natural collocation in English. However, I'm really glad that you're trying all these things with your vocabulary, because really taking risks is a great way to kind of, take your vocabulary to the next level. So really very good job with that. However, I think something else would have been a better word choice here. Okay, so let's move on to the next paragraph. On the other hand, I disagree with here the fact that traditional, careful with your spelling, lessons are not necessary in the education system. It's actually education and not educational. Educational has a different meaning. Even if attractive activities contribute to children's, apostrophe S, learning in a really stimulating with an ing way, traditional lessons know also, such as reading books, writing essays, and memorizing poems are also, here's where it goes, essential for a basic and complete education. That's a really nice sentence. That one little thing just needed to, that little word also just needed to move, and it was a very nice sentence. I love that you started here with an even if, so really great job with that. The best musician would not, okay, remember we don't use contractions in an essay, so write the whole word out. So the best musician would not be able to follow the partitur, I think that's how you say that, if he, the best musician, wouldn't be able to follow the partitur if he didn't have a good reading training. Okay, so again, I'm really, really happy that you decided to use a conditional statement here, but you do have to be careful with your tenses when you use these. It has been demonstrated, no comma, that 35% of the global knowledge in adults is completed by traditional skills learned during school time. Nevertheless, both skills are important for humans, S apostrophe, lives, plural. Okay, to conclude, from the examples and arguments given, I believe that an excellent education is the main base for future successful, word order, so it should be a successful future. In the future, new techniques and activities will evolve in order to facilitate students' learning, that's S apostrophe, learning at the same time as traditional lessons will promote a complete personal development. So, nice job with this. You can see that I really didn't change a whole lot in the second paragraph, in the second body paragraph in your conclusion. So really well done. I can see that you're coming to the end of your course. So the only thing I can really suggest is continuing to write. If possible, keep sending your essays for correction, because really this kind of feedback is one of the best ways to improve, to see where your errors are and to constantly improve on them. So best of luck, good job, and I can't wait to see your new essays.